What is going on, guys? TKD123 back with a video, and today I want to talk about this whole dilemma with EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2. However, this is not the entire point of the video. I want to bring up a point as well later on in the video, but let's start off with rounding out what happened here over the weekend and over in the beginning of this week. So what happened here was that EA put Battlefront 2 on EA Access for early access for players, and so that was of course a incentive with pre-order and everything, and it was a way for people that are on EA Access that pay the service, they can experience Battlefront 2 a little bit earlier. And so when they were on there and stuff like that, I believe those people on PC and Xbox, so those are two services that have EA Access. I know over here in the PS4 camp we don't have it, but they were playing over the weekend, and a lot of people took a lot of criticism and really harsh backlash at the devs over here at EA and DICE for the amounts of credits it costs to unlock these higher end heroes, and these include the likes of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, etc. And so how it was before they actually issued a fix and everything was that these characters were at the cost of 40,000 credits, and some people were doing the math on Reddit and everything, and they equaled out where it would take you about 40 hours of looking at the average credit amount per player and everything, and it would take the average user 40 hours to unlock one of these characters. And there's a ton of characters obviously we know in Battlefront 2, and so that caused a major outlash with the community. And of course you already know this backlash, you already seen this backlash firsthand. If you follow games a lot and you're on Twitter and everything, you're very active, you already know this whole thing happened here. And there was a huge Reddit post, and the actual response from EA from the Reddit post that initially was complaining, well, I mean, I won't say complaining is a bad thing, but criticizing the amount that a hero costs in this game. EA responded, and that ended up being the most downvoted Reddit comment in history, which is absolutely crazy. It definitely just reminds me of back in the day when EA would be awarded the worst company in the world, or at least in the US, all that good stuff. I mean, not good, but all that stuff. But anyway, beside the point, EA and then went ahead and fixed this whole thing where they cut down and reduced the cost of each hero by 75%. Which is good, which is great, whatever. But another thing I want to touch on here is that, back when everything was in complete chaos and EA hadn't had a fix yet for this whole thing, there were users and there were players here and there were people a part of the community that were giving death threats to devs and everything. And of course, this is a thing that we see a lot in the gaming industry and a lot in other media as well. But, it is always a sad thing when we have people in the community that would be that just dumb and that stupid to throw death threats at devs and everything. And it's even worse because if the actual job of a dev at a major studio, you would be aware that these people really dedicate their lives to a game over a long course of time here, especially in this day and age where games take a lot to make, and there's a lot of money behind games and everything, and a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time. There are plenty of different articles, definitely of just a lot of different books also that really lay out the process of making a video game here in 2017, and it is not an easy task. Obviously, it's not being a cop, it's not being a firefighter, it's not being in the military. Obviously there are way more dangerous jobs. I'm not saying that they're on par, but the act of being a developer is strenuous, is time consuming, is very difficult at times. And so to just have us over here sending death threats, I don't condone it here at all. That was very unfortunate to see right there. So if in the future we have a game here that has a bad feature, let's not throw any death threats or any slander. Yes, we can give our constructive criticism and everything, but keep it respectful, keep it nice, people. Okay, we're not here trying to kill people, right? Let's just pipe it down. Okay, pipe it down, ladies and gentlemen, pipe it down. So after that, the dust now has settled a few days out and everything, and EA has fixed the hero abilities. However, there are new reports here coming in that along with them reducing the cost of each hero, apparently in the original build of the game, you know, where the heroes cost, you know, 40,000 credits, etc., all that good stuff, not good stuff again, I keep saying that, I don't know why, but beside the point, when you beat the campaign in the original build before this fix, you would get a special crate that gave you 20,000 credits, right? So that was a nice little, you know, just nice little boost to get you in to the actual, you know, slew of getting these heroes and stuff like that. And also one thing to take into account here is that the Reddit user that did the official calculations of each hero and how much they would take, and how that user got the, you know, 40 hours thing for each hero to unlock them, they were not able to obviously take into account the different challenges you'll be getting through, you know, like your weapons, your character, your class, all that good stuff. So like there was a bunch of different ways that this, you know, that us as the general public could have obviously gotten credit through those things, not so much through just playing the objective and everything. But beside the point, what they found out here obviously was that, you know, they also reduced the amount of credits that you get, you know, for being the campaign. So it used to be 20,000 credits, now they say it's 5,000 credits, right? So when you have that, right, where at least seemingly EA has now, you know, yes, they have reduced the amount of credits that you need to unlock a hero, but they seemingly may have also reduced the amount of credits that we get in a game-to-game basis. Of course, this was only the campaign, but who's to say, you know, they won't do it for multiplayer and everything. So like they might have just scaled all the way down. Instead of being a 5 to 10 thing, now it's, you know, an 8 to 4 thing, where yes, it is, you know, less than, you know, 5 to 10, 8 to 4, whatever. It is a lesser, you know, value, but it is still the same distance between those two numbers. And so that could be an issue right there, honestly. That could be a little bit thing that's a little bit you know, questionable in my I mean, like, in my opinion. And then there's a lot of people now that are boycotting the game, you know, and just having these campaigns on Twitter going that, you know, they aren't going to buy the game, they're going to return the game, all this good stuff, and pledging people that they do not play this game overall. I won't be condoning this not playing the game. I'm still going to play the game, because at the end of the day, EA makes great games, and, you know, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a great game, you know what I'm saying, regardless of its, you know, unsavory, you know, kind loot cratism and everything, and I understand that. However, I want to support the game, not support the practices, and so I will obviously not be buying loot crates, whatever. But one thing I wanted to bring up here that I was thinking about last night, I think about a lot today, thinking about this whole thing that happened over the past few days and everything, and like, I wasn't initially inspired to make the jump on this video just because, you know, like, I feel like I've covered EA and loot boxes the past 2 weeks like so much. It's like, you know, I don't want to, you know, overburden you guys with the same old song, whatever. But there is one thing I had a thought of, and that is that, you know, we have the $60 base game, right? That is the standard MSRP for most games, most AAA games at that, right? And, you know, my thought process is, why don't, you know, devs play around with that MSRP, right? You know, there isn't some law that, oh, games are $60 and that's it, right? It's more of a social norm thing, you know what I'm saying? Where, you know, back in the day, games used to cost $50, way back in the PS2 games and the original Xbox days and everything, and like, you know, games were $50. And so, you know, when the release of the 360 and everything and the PS3, there was a little bit more of a change up there where games started costing $60 instead of $50, right? There was a $10 increase, right? And so I feel, you know, with how games are being made right now, how massive they are, how huge they are, like, for example, you know, more specifically, maybe probably not games of service, but like, just think of a massive game right now, GTA 5, let's say, right? Obviously, that came out 2013, you know, that was 4 years ago. Oh my god, GTA 5 is 4 years old, that's crazy. But, you know, beside the point, right? GTA 5, a massive game, huge game, a lot of content, whatever. And think of even like The Witcher 3, you know, even that game, huge, massive game, all that good stuff, whatever. Why, you know, why should we expect to, you know, pay the same amount, you know, of us, you know, like, as that, as opposed to like a more of a lesser game like a Call of Duty, right? You know, saying that like doesn't have, you know, those grand massive scales, whatever, that don't take that much development time, etc. You know what I'm saying? Like NBA 2K as well. Those games that, of course, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, throw slap at them, you know, and not trying to say that, oh, you know, those games you know, aren't that big, whatever. No, they are all great games, right? Like, they're all great games in their own facets. But, you know, to compare the size of NBA 2K, let's say, you know what I'm saying, like a nice sports game, obviously, versus versus a massive open world that is The Witcher 3, you know, why should they be priced the same, right? I feel like, you know, it's completely okay for a game like Ratchet & Clank in 2015 to come out with a price point of $40, but, you know, why is it so, like, taboo for a major publisher to release a game that's $80 or $70 and give the reasoning that, hey, this game is massive, like, this game is to give you a ton of content at the gate, whatever, and you know, maybe of course that might also be the alleviation that we need, because we've been hearing also with, you know, EA here as well, with the reasoning why they have, you know, loot boxes and microtransactions, whatever, in their game, and that is just because having a massive game studio with a game that takes years and years and millions of dollars to develop and everything, and for them to just charge $60 and that's it, you know, like, I believe the industry just came to a point where that's just not enough for these studios to keep afloat. You know what I'm saying? Like, these studios are filled with people that, you know, have families just like you, that have, you know, kids just like some of us here. Obviously not me, thank God. But you know, like, I just always think back to the picture of Visceral Games when they closed a few weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are all people. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are real people and faces behind these games. So I feel, you know, we should be exploring that price scale, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we should have games that are worth $30, that are worth $20, that are worth $10. You know what I'm saying? But we should also have those massive games that should be warranted and should be priced, you know, if they see fit, at that $80 price range, at that $100 price range. Excuse me, iPad. Now, will that stop, you know, them putting in microtransactions into the game? I don't know, really. I mean, like, I don't personally think so, just because I believe, you know, even if they rose the price by $10 or $20 of a given game, that might not, you know, equal the amount of people that buy loot crates and buy microtransactions, and more, you know, mainly those whales of the industry, where, you know, those are people that are, you know, really dedicated to a certain game, and they buy a ton of loot crates and a ton of microtransactions, and they are considered whales to the industry just because they buy so much of it and they make up so much of the amount of sales on a given game when it comes to term of microtransactions, right? So, you know, like, those won't alleviate those whales, but maybe, you know, if we have a higher price game, right? Like, maybe we, as, you know, the gamers, are willing to say, hey, listen, if you're building a massive game here, right, you know, and, like, obviously massive is a subjective thing, but, you know, let's say we can consider this to be like a, you know, just a lot of hours that you have the ability to be invested in, right? And obviously, again, that's very subjective, because not everyone's gonna spend the, you know, the exact amount of time in the actual given game, but, you know, maybe, you know, we can grow as a community. Maybe we can think of, you know, what is deemable to be an $80 game, right? And maybe we should introduce that into the fold here, and, you know, just make that happen. Because honestly, look, if you told me, hey, listen, Kev, Horizon Zero Dawn that released this year, you know, if would you be okay with that costing $80? I would say, of course I would be okay with, you know, like, $80. Of course I would be. Right now, I'm playing Origins, right? That game is huge. Like, if you told me, hey, Kev, would you pay $80 for this game? Overall, I'd say yes, right? Like, I'm enjoying the game. It's very massive. It's a great game, you know what I'm saying? And I feel that, you know, we should have a slew of games here, you know, up in the coming years that are worthy of that $80 thing. And like, I really think we should be exploring this scale, just like we have with games that now cost $40, $30, $20, etc. Why is it so, you know, bad to have a game that's over $60, right? I don't know, who knows? That was just my little 2 cents on this whole, wow, this video is really long. I just know it's 13 minutes long. But on that note, if you want to join, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and down below. And also a little quick update on the channel here. I don't think I'll be having an album review this week. I want to change the way I do reviews here in the coming months here, and not months, but coming weeks here. And I'm looking to change that formula, and I'm thinking about starting next week. I'll see what happens here, but I am open, and I am thinking about changing, you know, the way I do album reviews moving forward, and that's going to involve a little bit more of a car scene to it, where I am actually listening to the music, just like how I used to do, where I would sit down at the desk and record a, you know, extremely long video and do a ton of editing to it, and then narrow it down to where it was my first impressions, my first listen of this. And so I don't think I'll bring back the first listening thing. There is thoughts in my head where I'll do it in like a live stream format, I don't know, but I do want to make the reviews a little bit more better, together in a sense where I'm giving you more of my up-to-date thoughts throughout the week and not just at the end of the week, right? Because I feel like, you know, the end of the week is fine, but I also feel like there are just certain parts of albums where I leave out something that I wanted to bring up that I forgot to bring up in the review at the end of the week because it was shot at the end of the week and not while I was listening to it. So definitely do want to change that, and that means that I might not have anything this weekend. And of course, in place, I have a ton of live streams planned because I got 2 days off this weekend, so we're gonna have a lot of live streams over the weekends. But that was a little side bet there. So in case you were, you know, just looking and wondering for the album review, just know that I probably won't have one this weekend, and we'll probably pick up here in a few weeks or maybe next week at that. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I got you.